Hey, this is Mindy again with Northern Vinyl Supply and Mindy's Custom Vinyl. I had a customer ask me if I can show how to make sure vinyl is lined up straight on your project. So this is going to be kind of a little bit of a long video, but you'll learn some stuff. So you need some tools. You need a squeegee or a credit card will work. A hobby knife, X-Acto knife. We sell these. This is a weeding tool. You can actually just use a dental pick, but I like the ones that are sharper on the end instead of the ones that are duller. That's just a personal preference. You can see which ones you like. Usually dental picks come in, we say a skinny hooker and a fat hooker, but you can call them whatever you want. You need some scotch tape, masking tape, painter's tape, just something like this. You can actually use transfer tape too, but this is skinnier, so I use this, and some transfer tape. This is 6-inch. I sell this by 100 foot or 100 yard. It's available on my website. So what we do is we first score it. Not everybody does this. I've seen a lot of people not score them at all, but I do because that's the way I've always done it, I guess. You gotta pull it with, you have some tension on it, but not, it's gotta be at an angle. It's kind of hard to explain in a video. But you just pull all your excess off. This is called weeding, and some people are really new. So if I use any terms that you don't know, just go ahead and contact me and I'll explain it better, because I don't really remember to not talk like you know what you're talking about. I'm getting there. So if you don't understand anything that I say, just let me know, because I've been doing this forever, so I've learned a lot of different terminology over the years. This is actually 2 projects. This and this all go together, and then these are completely separate, but I didn't want to waste all this vinyl. I always fill my sheet up with random stuff. If I don't have another order, I just print my kids' names out, because they're good for school and daycare and stuff, so they can have their name on stuff, and I don't really like my handwriting, so it works out better that way. And then with twins, it looks the same, so they don't fight as much. Then you go through and you weed out all the insides of the letters. So I'm using an X-Acto knife there, but I've actually cut my finger pretty severely before, which is why I actually try to use the hook. You just poke it in and then lift it up. So it's at an angle too. If you go straight down, it's not going to work. You have to kind of hook it into it. So it's okay if you poke a hole in it, because you're just throwing this away anyway. Like, there's a little hole right there. I stick them to my finger. That drives some people insane that I've taught how to weed, so you'll learn your own. Oh, see, and I picked that one up too far. You'll learn your own rhythm on this kind of stuff. And I'm sure I don't do everything exactly the easiest way, but this is the way I've learned. So if you pick up letters, you can always, as long as you don't stretch them out or rip them, you can put them back down, usually. And you can't even tell. Okay, so now that we've got that all weeded out, take your transfer tape. I use 6-inch because I can layer it if I need to. And I used to only use 12-inch because most of the projects that you do are gonna cover 12-inch, but I just think it's easier to get this laid straight on if it's 6-inch. So on your transfer tape, you could possibly end up with some crinkles. Like right here, some crinkles. Not really bad, but sometimes are worse than others. It's okay if the transfer tape crinkles as long as you don't buckle the vinyl under the transfer tape. So if there is a line, just make sure it's like a hard seam, like if you had a bubble. See right there, and it was kind of like a little bit like this, and so you couldn't get it out, and there was a letter under there. It's gonna try to stick to all the surface areas, so I just make a hard seam over the top of it, so it doesn't have surface underneath on your transfer tape, on your sticky part, to try and pick it up with, if that makes sense. It might not at all. I trim my transfer tape so it doesn't get caught on something else when I'm trying to line it up. Like I said, this part is for another project, so I'll just take this out totally. Set that aside. Okay, so then I have my transfer tape, and it's backwards in the video because I'm FaceTiming, but these are actually right ways. You only mirror if it's going on the back of something or if it's HTV. So then we line that up on your project, and that has a little lip on it so that I want it to be in. So I'm going to actually trim this down a little bit more so it fits nice and flat, so it's easier to work with. So I'm just trimming pretty close to the letters. Lines don't have to be straight or anything because you're just going to be taking it off the backing. Just make sure to not cut the vinyl. Okay, so then you take your project and you put it on where you want it to be. And this you can move around, which is great if you don't know the placement yet. Then you take a strip of tape, and I'm going to show you what I call we're going to hinge method is what this is called. I also clean this metal with rubbing alcohol before. Anytime you're putting vinyl down, you want to clean it with rubbing alcohol because it removes the fingerprints that tend to get all over everything and any dust. Okay, so then you pull, and see if this isn't coming up all the way, you just rub it back down. Put some more pressure on it. Sometimes they're kind of finicky because it cut through the backing or anything. It didn't on this one, but my plotter's been kind of weird lately. I think the cutting strip needs replaced. But I don't like replacing it because it has to be straight on and I don't like it. So I'll have to get on that. Okay, so you're going to hinge this. You're going to take a little piece that doesn't have any vinyl on it and kind of tack it to your other side. Not so much on the smaller projects, but if you're doing a really big window or something, you want to do that. So then we have the transfer tape and the vinyl peeled off the backing, and I've got this masking tape in there. So then you cut or tear, if you want to, the backing off, that one side. And I'm trying to not scratch the metal, so. I actually have a bunch of tools that you can use for this, like the gift wrapping and blades and stuff, because then you don't have to worry about cutting your project. If you're doing tile or whatever, it doesn't really matter, but something like this will scratch. So then I have no backing under it, and then it's still taped on this side, so it's still in place. So then you just lay it back down and you go from inside out. Make sure that's good, pretty good, and then you can take your masking tape off. You can reuse these if you're doing a couple projects. I try to use them 3 or 4 times generally, but I'm mostly doing heat transfer today, so making shirts and stuff, so I don't need that. Here, and then you take the other side off. And again, right here, this part is a little bit stuck to the backing, so you just kind of use your finger or tool or whatever to make sure it's stuck really good to the transfer tape. Lay that back down, rub it back and forth inside to outside, and then use a squeegee or a credit card, or I've actually used a kitchen spatula before because I couldn't find squeegees, which is why I have about 20 of them laying around now. And then you just peel your transfer tape. Transfer tape is actually reusable too. And as long as it's sticky, which is about twice. I don't use it more than twice just because it starts getting unpredictably not sticky and whatever. But if you're just doing your own projects, then you can always work with it. And there's that, and I'm going to actually make these. I make these little, it's called a die sub print, so it's actually on a piece of metal that I've printed on. You can't do this with the vinyl, but you could always cut something small and put it on a different substrate or print them or whatever you wanted to do. But I'm going to actually put magnets on the back of these so that they can see what their project is for the family home evening. You can do chore charts with these, you can do rewards charts, there's a lot of things you could do with this kind of an idea, and they're all over Pinterest. You could actually change all these to whatever different kind of things you wanted. So I know this is backwards, but there's the finished product. It's straight on, no bubbles or anything, so that's how you do it. Let me know if you have any questions. My websites are mindyscustomvinyl.com and northernvinylsupply.com.